There is no way to win, and that's by design. And so white people are going, I'm tired of having to tiptoe around land. And I walk out, there are new landmines. How do we get so many new landmines today? We're going to move on to this next story. Because like I said, we're done tiptoeing around this. So I don't know if you know this, but the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, he just issued, or made quite a lofty claim, I should say, about black people in comparison to other people, largely not black. He made this claim over the weekend, and he kind of looks like a human bearded dragon.
Some detractors that will push back on me and say, the only thing that the mayor talks about is the hiring of black people. No, what I'm saying is when you hire our people, we always look out for everybody else.
Really?
We're the most generous people on the planet. I don't know too many cultures that have play cousins. That's how generous we are. We just make somebody a family member, right? That's just how we are.
Now make yourself a dad. And then, well, not you, but, statistically, a lot.
Ain't got no daddies, but I got cousins.
Yeah, I got a bunch of cousins who, by the way, show up the minute you make some money to tell you that they are your cousin. You're like, really? Are you? Hey, now let's do tipping. We share that in common, being bad tippers. I'm Canadian. Wink, wink.
I remember when I worked at Applebee's and we all said, rejoice!
Yes!
They have entered the building! Nobody clock out!
The big tippers have arrived!
Yes.
Nobody take their smoke break for the big tippers.
Yeah, well, black diners tip less. Do they tip 10 to 14% on average, or is it 10 to 14% less? Let's bring that up, that overlay here.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Again, on average, now here's the thing. You'll say that's racist, but again, I'm responding to a generalized statement. Black people are the most generous. Okay, so now I'm saying black people tip less. Not all. But you said as a general rule, so I'm responding as a general rule. Is that fair? Is that fair?
I think you're allowed to say that because he's saying that we're not generous.
Yeah.
We're not generous enough. That's what he's saying. He's saying the white people, Asians, Latinos, Indians, I don't know, there's others out there.
Yeah. Well, you probably got a point with Indians. Now, I'm just kidding.
Come on, they give the cent to everybody.
Yes, I'm just kidding. Of course, black people are super, super generous, as seen by these multi-million-dollar estates of the Black Lives Matter leaders. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. There you go. Yeah.
Well.
Also, while we're talking about this, turns out a new study showed that white Americans are the least racist, meaning they had the least amount of group identity, which, we got to pump those numbers up.
I don't know if that's legit or if white people are just so scared of being racist even when they're alone in an anonymous survey.
Well, we're going to get to Ryan Clark. And this isn't whataboutism. I want you to consistently take what you are about to hear black people say as they make broad stroke generalizations about black people and white people and just swap the races. That's what is black fatigue. And by the way, a lot of black people feel that way. I know because I've spoken to many of them. You can go watch Black and White and the Gray Issues and many in the Change My Minds where we find far more common ground. Most of them don't know who Van Jones is. They don't feel this way. If someone is going to make a case in an affirmative and generalized sense, proud black man because we in general, then I can say, well, your words in general maybe need to come to terms with this problem in your community. And on the flip side, I can say, well, we, in general, for example, white people, tend to be more polite, tend to not do Kia challenges, knockout games, as a general rule, right? Your rules, not mine. However, I should say this, the racism does rear its ugly head. When whites were asked how they'd feel living with Indians in their neighborhood, the response was the same across the board.
Kill me!
Yeah, but here's the thing. You got to do more than words because that didn't stop them from moving in anyway.
Always exercising.
Always exercise.
Exercise, bro.
I'm glad to know a gym's opening up in my local park.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Smell them coming.
Did I miss you? Were you about to say something? Or?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
You know what's really interesting?
Sorry, I get riled up.
The
Go
demographics of Chicago, only about 30% of Chicago is black.
I know.
That's a
So
pretty
it's
big
like
percent.
there's like 70% of your constituents that you're actively choosing not to represent.
Yeah.
And have any representation. Well, not any, because you're just not saying it, at least. Like, you tend to choose black people because they're more generous. But it's like, what about the other 70% of people over here, though?
Well, actually, yesterday, the Department of Justice, their Civil Rights Division, sued the city of Chicago over alleged, not all,
Admitted to.
racial discrimination in hiring.
It's not alleged when you admit it on camera.
They're the most generous people in government.
Yeah.
They do give a lot of your money away.
Have you been to the DMV?
I don't know.
I'm sorry I was in line.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't mean to ruin your day by existing here.
When I had to get my license renewed, they're like, you need 2 pieces of ID and you need something proving with your social security number. So I brought in a tax return. They go, we cannot use that. I said, what? That's clearly my They said, that says tax ID number. I'm like, you're the ones who called it this, you little shit. You guys used to tell us to tear up our social security card. You used to say, chew it up, swallow it, so that no one could steal it. Here you go. Here's the form. I didn't call it that. It's clearly, just put it in the system. You'll see it's a number. It's the same number of numbers. Put it in.
I broke the law, man. I laminated mine.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Do something about it.
Yeah. That's a red line.
You won't.
It's a red line. Coming in, bro. So. What? What, Noodles? Do you have something very white to say?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
concerned with what was said. That's all.
Wait,
Nothing.
no?
Nope.
Shame.
That's good.
Sometimes, here's the thing, though. They're very generous in government, and by they, I mean Chicago politicians. Sometimes the most generous companies out there, the most generous organizations, are actually private companies that save you money. Josh, you actually tried to share that with a coworker this weekend.
Yeah, tried.
Yeah.
Oh, Finnegan. I wanted to tell you that American Financing Company is legit. Seriously, I'm over the moon with how they've helped me. I refinanced my home with them, and I'm saving $800 a month. And they postponed 2 mortgage payments.
I rent.
Call the pros at American Financing today at 1-800-974-6500 or visit www.americanfinancing.net/Crowder. NMLS 182334. If you start today, you may even delay up to 2 mortgage payments.
Sorry, Josh, you didn't deserve that either.
No, I don't remember much of it, though,
Yeah.
so...
By the way, I actually had a friend who called me who was like, yeah, and he didn't use American Financing. What happened is he was already with another lender, and he called them up, and American Financing kind of gave him a quote, and the other lender said, no, there's no way. They said, all right, well, then, okay, we'll match it.
Of course.
Yeah, at that point, he'd already gone through it. So, yeah, hey, Adam. I'm glad he saved some money. So, but they really do help out. Let's go on to...
He's got a right cross.
Yeah, he does.
No.
Well, there's a reason for weight classes. Ryan Clark. So this whole story, right, this goes to, it's not about the WNBA, and I need to be clear about that because I know you wouldn't care if it was.
Nobody does.
It is about that we are discussing this. There is a term now that's being thrown around. And I'll be on Piers Morgan later today discussing this with Dr. Mark Lamont Hill. This term is called black fatigue, is out there right now. Let me give you the definition from Urban Dictionary. It describes deep mental exhaustion from being forced to care about black people and their actions 24/7. And you know what? This is important because everyone's going to talk about Shiloh Hendricks screaming the N-word at a 5-year-old, and I bet you that's always what they're going to try and bait you into. And you shouldn't do that any more than you should call a 5-year-old a little bastard. It's just not right. It's just not something you should do as a decent adult, okay? But that's not the conversation that we are having. If you look at the GoFundMe for Shiloh Hendricks, this is something that would not have occurred 10, 15, 20 years ago. After Carmelo Anthony, after, allegedly, a kid who was white was stabbed in cold blood, and you see people donating to the tune of 6 figures, and you read the comments where there seems to be unapologetic hatred toward white people, you now have people who would never consider donating to someone who screamed the N-word at a toddler going, you know what, toss my money in there because I'm tired of constantly living in fear. Also, just scaling that back, most people, white, black, Asian, brown, they're concerned with their own problems and their families, right? That's you're more concerned with your problems than someone 2 cities over. However, for the last, decade, in the name of progress, everyone who is not black has been demanded to sit down and start caring about everyone else's problem and actually putting them before their own. And then, even if you go through that step and you try to do it, you still get burned anyway. Hey, you want to move in? Oh, that's gentrification. Okay, I guess I'm not wanted here. Leave, that's white flight. Sit down and shut up, check your privilege. All right, but silence is violence. Okay, well, maybe we can look at these demographics and look at the crime that's, several times higher as far as homicide. Hey, that's actually racist because not all black people. All right, well, you know what? I'm not racist because I have black friends and I have, hey, you can't say that. What, because you have a black friend? There is no way to win, and that's by design. And so white people are going, I'm tired of having to tiptoe around land. And I walk out, there are new landmines. How do we get so many new landmines today? And then if you bring that up, they go, well, you just can't know because white privilege. You can't know what my experience is. Well, that's true, and neither can you. People are exhausted.
Yeah.
Gerald is the closest thing, and I say this out of love, to a Boy Scout that you actually get. And he was this close to tossing a $5 in Shiloh Hendricks's GoFundMe.
Only because of the response. And listen, the response to this, she was doxxed. Her kids were being kind of threatened and harassed. She was being harassed. They've had to move around multiple times. And I don't like racism any more than anybody else does. But let's just stop acting like there is a certain word that is like unheard of to call somebody on the planet. And it inflicts some mortal wound deep in your soul. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of done with that. Acting like this is the line.
Right.
There are actions that are lines, not words.
Exactly. We need to get to the point in this country where when people say, well, you're free to say whatever you want. You're just going to be held. You're just going to be held accountable for it, right?
What does that mean, though?
That's not a violation of the First Amendment. That's accountability culture. Okay, great. So you're against no cash bail. You're against catch and release. You're for accountability. You're against, for example, a shopkeeper having to go bankrupt because he's been robbed nonstop, like a revolving door, so long as it's under $999. You believe those people should be locked up, right? Because you care about your fellow citizen shopkeeper, regardless of race? No. And by the way, it's not about accountability because people out there aren't outraged. It's those in media who are looking to score points. Yeah. Let me make a really, really clear example for you, okay? And you'll know that what I'm saying is true. And then I'll get to it's not just white people. This is happening to black people. That's what we're going to get to with this ESPN story. Now, even having a white wife while you are a black man will get you 86th from the black community.
YouTube's is something you're not allowed to say according to the guidelines. I was quoting the guidelines. I'm glad you're still here. It means you watched this video all the way through. Oh, it says here that Rumble, where you can go follow my channel, lets you say pretty much anything, provided it's not illegal. That reminds me of, what does it remind me of? Oh, yeah. YouTube, pre-2015. Go on and follow me there. I'm live, 11 a.m. Eastern, weekdays. Don't call YouTube a Oh, it's just a different way of saying it's